Right, chapter 11, the clever class. So I've got up the top here Malala Yousafzai, which from memory is her classmate. So we're imagining obviously that this will show a lot about her competitiveness. I've got some clothing, which you can't see because my hand's in the way. The most beautiful thing in a village in the morning is the sight of a child in a school uniform. What a beautiful image. So again, you can see the start of chapters, we usually start pretty strong. That's kind of where kind of you feel the strongest presence of the ghostwriter or the second author, let's say. My rivalry with Malala Yousafzai continued. She worried if that she got low marks, her male relatives might use it as an excuse to stop her education. So that's kind of her little Malka's little form of sort of activism and rebellion. She doesn't want to give the world any excuse to kind of cut off the thing that she loves, which is her education, just like Malala does. So again, we've got lots of wrestle little symbols, competition going throughout. Our school's a haven from the horrors outside. So to her, school is a safe place, which it should be for all students, you would hope. But Fazula kept broadcasting the girls should stay at home. So, and his men had started blowing up schools. We're going to draw a little violent sword again, but yeah, pretty common at this point to avoid annotating violence, I guess. At night our fear is strong, Johnny, but in the morning, in the light, we find our courage again. So, activism, of course. The senior elder was a white-bearded man of 74 called Abdul Khan Khalik. So again, it's interesting to think about literature and different languages. Perhaps this is written in English, perhaps it's been translated, but you would almost certainly presume that there is a lot of kind of figurative language about beards in her language or in her culture, because this is definitely something that comes through which, if you can think of your average book that you read, beards would be mentioned, I would guess, approximately 0 times, but it's very culturally important here, so it's your job to sort of think about what do beards represent in the story and why she used them so often. Got a little piece here. Though he was more poetic in Pashto, he could speak our national language Urdu and English fluently. So Pashto or Urdu, one of these languages must have a real sort of beard centricity. In the way that I guess maybe English is focused on the eyes, perhaps, but each language sort of has certain things. The famous idea is that an Eskimo has 100 words for snow. Each different language kind of has its sort of preponderances, the things that it focuses on. I'm guessing, taking a wild stab at a language I've never even read, that there's a lot of kind of that happening here. There we go. Martin Niemöller, we were correct. First they came for. So we can call this even a motif, maybe, because it's been repeated multiple times and was referenced a couple of chapters ago. Alright, a state is like a mother, and a mother never deserts or cheats her children. So that's an extended metaphor, because a metaphor is something. I guess you could call it an extended simile, really, but an extended metaphor is when you say love is like a rose, and then you say a rose has thorns, then you say a rose has manure down the bottom, these sort of things. So a state is like a mother, and a mother never deserts or cheats her children. It's a simile and a bit of an extended metaphor as well. Right, Malala is not just the daughter of Ziauddin, she's the daughter of all of us. Oh, what a beautiful thing to say. So you can see she's starting to get support from outside her little circle of her home. It's being spread around a fair bit, which is really nice, particularly to the Voice of America and the BBC. Okay, so she's starting to kind of get a bit of a voice. So at this point, she's probably less competitive with Malala Yousafzai, because she's starting to kind of do things that are very uncommon for people like her. Speaking on the BBC and the Voice of America. When I say people like her, people in countries with the Taliban. So obviously we're going to be keeping a close eye on what happens to her, because it doesn't sound like a good thing if radios are being banned and you're communicating with these large Western groups. You'd be starting to get pretty worried. So wish Pashtuns are religion-loving people. We are peace-loving. Our mountains, our trees and our flowers, everything in our valley is about peace. My friends' brothers and fathers didn't allow them because they had entered puberty and should observe purdah, and also they were afraid. So remember, purdah is hiding. Basically hiding either literally behind a scarf, a veil or a curtain or something similar, but being away from public life. The media needs interviews. They want to interview a small girl, but the girls are scared, and even if they're not, their parents won't allow it. I have a father who isn't scared, who stands by me. He said, "You are a child, and it is your right to speak." So, wow, that's a strong activating activist statement from Ziauddin there. And you can imagine that would fill you with confidence if your father spoke of you in that regard. One journalist called me Takra Jinnah, a bright, shining young lady, and another said, "You are Pakar Jinnah, you are wise beyond your years." The falsehood has to go and the truth will prevail. If one man, Falzala, can destroy everything, then can't one girl change it? So yeah, things are really ramping up, and she's sort of starting to get respect from outside her own context, which is really good to see, and starting to get a bit of kind of notoriety perhaps, or kind of something more positive, maybe some broader respect. So this is a really thick chapter. There's a lot of, not thick in that sense, not that long, but there's a lot of really juicy stuff in here. So how dare the Taliban take away my basic rights to education? So yeah, we're really going to be tearing through these pages. Even as a toddler, you talk like a politician. So simile, our words were like the eucalyptus blossoms of spring tossed away on the wind. We've got IEDs again, so draw some kind of bomb setup rig. And that's the bell, so where are we up to? Alright, let's fly through it. They are vultures jumping on a dead body, metaphor. We've got our religious discussion here, which for this kind of a chapter isn't super important because there's so much other juicy stuff. I like doing my hair in different styles and would spend ages in the bathroom in front of the mirror trying out looks I had seen in movies. So the Taliban obviously wouldn't especially approve of that, wouldn't find that to be a cute little young girl trying out hairstyles and kind of discovering herself as a young adult, but rather as something very Western and very, as a result, offensive. So the Taliban could take our pens and books, but they couldn't stop our minds from thinking. So, very true statement there. You can never really take away someone's freedom as long as they have the ability to think and the willingness to, then they will always be in one way free. So that's the end of chapter 11.